I should have walked away. That's the truth. I promised myself 3 years ago I would never step into violence again. Never let ghosts breathe. Never let that part of me surface. But when I heard her say no the second time, something inside me snapped. The slap came fast. Open palm. Drunk strength. It cracked across my face hard enough to turn heads. I didn't move. Didn't blink. Didn't taste the blood rising in my mouth. I just looked at him. And then I looked at her. She was sitting there in that little mountain cafe like she didn't belong to this world. Too polished. Too composed. Eyes sharp but afraid. Not for herself. For what might happen next. I saw it. The calculation. The fear she wouldn't show. Mind your business, the drunk laughed. But it was my business. Everyone in that room was. I stood up slowly, calm, loose, the way I used to before things went bad overseas. I heard her say no, I told him. He stepped close. Beer breath, ego. You want to be a hero? No, I never wanted to be a hero again. The slap hit, and for a split second, Afghanistan came rushing back. Sand, smoke, orders shouted over gunfire. I ended it in 3 seconds. Efficient, clean, no rage. Just muscle memory I wish I didn't still have. When it was over, the cafe was silent. I straightened my flannel, told Ellie to call the sheriff, and then I felt her eyes on me, not scared, searching. Your ghost, she said softly. The name felt like a knife sliding between ribs. I turned toward her fully then. Really looked. Dark hair, steel composure, but grief sitting heavy behind her eyes. How do you know that name? I asked. She swallowed. My brother was Captain Daniel Sinclair. Everything inside me went cold. Because Daniel Sinclair wasn't just her brother. He was the man I left behind, and suddenly the woman I had just saved might be the one who came to destroy what little piece I had left. I should have lied to her. That would have been easier. I don't know your brother, I could have said. I'm just a mechanic. But when she said Daniel's name, my chest tightened in a way it hadn't in years. I don't talk about Afghanistan, I told her. My voice sounded steady. It wasn't. She stepped closer anyway. Not afraid of me. Not intimidated, just desperate. I've spent 2 years looking for you, she said. You were the last man to see him alive. Alive. That word hit harder than the slap. I followed orders, I said quickly. Too quickly, that's all. Her jaw tightened. That's not all. The sheriff came and hauled the drunks away. The cafe emptied. But she didn't move. Neither did I. You left him there, she said quietly. It wasn't accusation. It was pain. I finally met her eyes. Really met them. They weren't angry. They were breaking. We were ambushed, I said. The words tasted like dust. He split the team. Ordered me to get the journalist out. And you did. Yes. And he didn't make it back. I didn't answer, because that was the part that never let me sleep. Her voice softened. Did he suffer? I flinched. I've been shot, burned, broken ribs. None of it compares to that question. I don't know, I said honestly. That uncertainty. It's worse than death. It rots you from the inside. She looked down at her hands. They were trembling now. My mother cries every night, she whispered. We can't grieve. We don't know if he's gone. Something shifted in me then. I've seen widows. I've seen mothers fold into themselves. But this woman standing in front of me wasn't folding. She was fighting. For what? I asked. Hope? Yes. One word. No hesitation. I looked at her, and for the first time since my wife died, I felt something that wasn't numb. Not attraction. Not yet. Respect. You should go back to Denver, I told her. There's nothing here but ghosts. Her lips curved faintly. I don't scare easily, Marcus. She said my name like she meant it, and that scared me more than anything. I didn't expect her to come back the next morning. Most people don't. They see the scars, the silence, the walls. They leave. But at 7:02 a.m., I heard heels on gravel outside my garage. I didn't look up from the engine. You're early, I said. You're predictable, she replied. That almost made me smile. Almost. She stood there in a navy coat that probably cost more than my truck. But there was nothing arrogant in the way she watched me work. Just curiosity and something softer. I brought coffee, she added. I paused. No one brings me coffee. Not since Sarah. The thought hit fast, sharp. I swallowed it down. You don't have to do that, I said. I know. That's what unsettled me. She wasn't doing anything out of obligation. She was choosing to stand in my space. Silence stretched between us. Not awkward, just heavy. You think he's dead, she said quietly. I tightened a bolt harder than necessary. I think the world doesn't usually give happy endings. Her eyes didn't waver. You're wrong. Confidence, not arrogance. It did something strange to my chest. I finally slid out from under the truck and stood, grease on my hands, oil on my shirt. She didn't flinch. You don't know what you're asking, I told her. If there's even a chance he's alive, that's dangerous information. For who? For you. That was the first time I saw it. The shift. Her voice softened. Why do you care? I opened my mouth. Closed it, because I didn't have a clean answer. Maybe because she looked at me like I wasn't broken. Maybe because when she talks about her brother, her voice cracks the same way mine did when I said Sarah's name for the first time after she died. Or maybe because I'm tired of running from one night in Kandahar. You shouldn't stay in Ridgewood, I said instead. She stepped closer, close enough that I could see the faint scar near her eyebrow. Close enough to feel the warmth of her breath in the cold mountain air. I'm not leaving, she said. And for the first time in 3 years, I wasn't sure I wanted her to. That realization hit harder than any battlefield ever did. I made a mistake that afternoon. I let her meet my daughter. I should have kept those worlds separate. Lily came running into the garage just after school, backpack bouncing, cheeks pink from the cold. Daddy! She threw herself at me, and just like that, the walls inside my chest softened. Hey, Bug, I murmured, lifting her up. Then she saw Tori. She froze, studied her with those serious little eyes that miss nothing. Who's that? Tori didn't hesitate. She crouched down, eye level. No designer attitude, no distance. I'm Tori, she said gently. I'm your dad's friend. Friend. The word hung in the air. I hadn't had one of those in a long time. Lily tilted her head. Daddy doesn't have friends. Tori glanced at me, and there it was, that spark. That almost smile. Well, she said softly, maybe he's overdue. Lily considered that like it was a math problem. Then she walked straight up to Tori and handed her a crumpled drawing from her backpack. It was us, me, Lily, and a third stick figure standing slightly apart. Mommy watches us, Lily explained. From heaven. The air shifted. Tori's fingers trembled slightly as she held the paper. She looks beautiful. She was, I said. Past tense. It always cuts. Lily tugged on Tori's sleeve. Your eyes look sad too. Did you lose somebody? Tori swallowed. I saw her throat move. My brother, she whispered. Lily nodded like that made perfect sense. Daddy says not knowing is the worst part. Tori looked at me then, not accusing, understanding, and something cracked open inside me. Later, when Lily ran off to the backyard, Tori stayed behind. You're good with her, she said quietly. She's the only thing I didn't fail. Her eyes sharpened. You didn't fail my brother either. I stepped back. Physical distance, emotional retreat. You don't know that. She stepped forward. I know he trusted you. That hit deeper than she realized. Because Daniel did trust me. And trust is heavier than guilt. The problem is, trust doesn't erase the image of walking away while gunfire echoed behind you. And as she stood there in my garage, looking at me like I was still worth something, I felt something dangerous rising. Hope. Hope is dangerous. It sneaks in quiet. Warmer than it has any right to be. She started coming every morning after that, coffee in hand, questions in her eyes. Not pushy, not demanding, just present. We talked while I worked. About Daniel at first, about the mission, about the night everything went wrong. But slowly the conversation shifted. She told me about Denver, about boardrooms and shareholders, about carrying a company at 29. Because grief doesn't wait for you to be ready. I don't get to fall apart, she said once. Her voice didn't shake, but her hands did. I saw it. You already did, I said quietly. You just kept walking. She looked at me like I'd just seen something no one else had. That was the moment. The shift. Not attraction exactly. Recognition. Two people carrying things too heavy for one set of shoulders. One evening, we sat outside the garage while Lily chased fireflies in the yard. The mountains were purple in the fading light. Tori wrapped her arms around herself against the cold. Without thinking, I stepped closer, not touching, just near enough to block the wind. She noticed. Of course she did. You don't have to protect me, she murmured. I know. But I didn't step away. Silence stretched between us, soft, not uncomfortable. Marcus, she said carefully. If there was even a chance Daniel is alive, would you help me look? There it was again. Hope. It flickered in her eyes like a match struck in the dark. I looked at Lily, at the small shape running across the grass laughing. I had promised myself I would never go back to that world. Never reopen doors I barely survived walking through. I can't, I said. And I meant it. Her face didn't crumble. That made it worse. She nodded slowly. Okay. Okay. Just like that. But when she stood to leave, she hesitated. And for the first time, doubt flickered in her. Not about Daniel. About me, and that unsettled me more than the war ever did. I didn't sleep that night, not because of Afghanistan, because of her. The way she said okay like she was accepting my answer, but not believing it. I lay awake staring at the ceiling while Lily slept down the hall. I kept hearing Daniel's voice. Get them out, Ghost, that's an order. Orders are easy in war. It's living with them afterward that kills you. At 2 a.m. I walked into Lily's room. She was sprawled across the bed, one arm wrapped around her stuffed rabbit. Peaceful, safe, because I chose survival. But survival isn't the same as honor. The next morning, Tori didn't come. That shouldn't have mattered. It did. The garage felt empty. I caught myself looking toward the door every time a car passed. Idiot. Around noon, Ellie showed up instead. She left early, she said carefully. Drove toward Denver. My chest tightened. She didn't say goodbye? Ellie studied me. You didn't give her a reason to stay. That hit harder than any punch. I wiped my hands on a rag, pretending it didn't. She deserves better than this town. Maybe, Ellie said. Or maybe she deserves someone who won't run. I hate when small-town people see too much. After she left, I stood there alone in the garage, staring at the wall where I keep Sarah's picture. I'm not going back, I told it. But the words felt thin. By evening, I couldn't stand it anymore. I drove into town. Her car was still parked outside the motel. Relief flooded me so fast it almost embarrassed me. I knocked. She opened the door. Her eyes were red. You decided, she said quietly. It wasn't a question. I made a call, I replied. Her breath caught. One of my old contacts. He's looking into a rumor. Pakistan. A transfer 2 years ago. For a second, she just stared at me. Then she stepped forward and wrapped her arms around me. Not dramatic. Not seductive. Grateful. Desperate. Her cheek pressed against my chest. And I froze. Because I hadn't held a woman in 4 years. My hands hovered, then slowly settled against her back. Warm, real, dangerous. When she pulled away, her eyes were shining. Thank you, she whispered. I should have felt regret. Instead, I felt something worse. I didn't want to let go. The call came on a Tuesday. I knew before I answered that it would change everything. Ghost, Webb said on the other end. He hasn't called me that in 3 years. We found something. Tori was sitting across from me in the garage, pretending to read emails. She looked up the second my face changed. There was an American prisoner, Webb continued. Transferred outside Peshawar. 2 years ago. Facial recognition just confirmed it. My throat went dry. Confirmed who? I asked, even though I already knew. Captain Daniel Sinclair is alive. The world went quiet. Not dramatic quiet. The kind that steals oxygen. Tori stood up slowly. Marcus. I handed her the phone. She didn't cry at first. She just listened. Then her knees gave out and she grabbed the workbench to steady herself. Alive? She whispered. I caught her before she fell. She broke then. Not polished CEO tears, not controlled grief, full body shaking. I held her because there was nothing else to do. And as her hands clutched my shirt, something shifted inside me. Relief and fear, because alive means hope. Hope means risk. There's a problem, Webb added. Rescue was proposed 6 months ago, denied, too political. Tori pulled back, eyes blazing through tears. Denied? Yes. She wiped her face with the back of her hand like she was clearing a battlefield. Then we make them approve it, she said. There it was again. That fire. Daniel had it too. I studied her. She wasn't asking for comfort anymore. She was asking for war. You're not trained for this, I warned. I'm trained to win, she shot back. That almost made me smile. Almost. You'd go to Washington, I asked. I'd burn Washington down if I had to. There was no hesitation in her voice. And that's when doubt crept into me. Not about Daniel, about us. If this worked, she'd go back to Denver, to her world. If it failed, it would destroy her. Either way, I would lose her. And the worst part, I already knew I didn't want to. The night before she flew to Washington, she came to the house. Not the garage. The house. That felt different. Lily was asleep. The lights were low. The air carried that quiet mountain stillness that makes everything feel exposed. I didn't want to leave without seeing you, Tori said. Her voice was softer than usual. Not the boardroom steel, not the battlefield fire, just her. I leaned against the kitchen counter, arms crossed like distance could protect me. You'll get them to listen, I said. I always do. But there was uncertainty in her eyes this time, and I hated that I noticed. What if they say no again, I asked. She stepped closer, slow, careful. Then I'll need you. The words landed heavy between us, not for strategy, for strength. I swallowed. Tori. She reached for my hand. Not dramatic, just fingers brushing mine. Electric. You don't have to fight overseas, she said quietly. I'm not asking Ghost to come back. Then what are you asking? She looked up at me, and for the first time I saw it clearly, not just determination, not just gratitude, something warmer. I'm asking Marcus to stand next to me. That did more damage than any explosion ever did, because Ghost is armor, Marcus is exposed. I stepped closer before I could stop myself. Too close. Close enough to feel her breath. Close enough to see the tiny scar near her eyebrow. You don't know what that means, I whispered. Then tell me. Her hand tightened slightly in mine. No fear, just trust. And that's when doubt hit me. What happens when Daniel comes home? When her life resets? Where do I fit in that world? She must have seen something shift in my face. Hey, she said softly. I'm not leaving Ridgewood behind. You don't know that. I know this. She placed my hand over her heart. It was racing. So was mine. For one reckless second. I almost kissed her. Instead, I stepped back. If this goes wrong, I said quietly, it won't just break you. Her eyes held mine. Then don't let it. And that was the moment I realized I wasn't afraid of losing the mission. I was afraid of losing her. Washington listened. Not because they wanted to. Because she made them. For 2 weeks, I watched her fight from 3 time zones away. Calls at midnight, meetings at dawn, names I haven't heard since I left the service suddenly resurfacing. She didn't bend, didn't cry, didn't flinch. And I realized something uncomfortable. I wasn't the strongest one in this story. She was. The approval came on a Friday, limited window, high risk, officially off the record. I didn't sleep that night. Neither did she. When she returned to Ridgewood before flying to Germany, she came straight to the garage. They're going in, she said. Her hands were shaking this time. Finally. Not from weakness, from stakes. I stepped closer. He'll come home. You don't know that. No, I don't. But I've led men into impossible odds before. And I know this. Daniel Sinclair doesn't quit. The operation happened 3 days later. SEAL Team 6, 0 casualties. Target extracted. Alive. When she got the confirmation call, she was standing in my driveway. I watched the moment it hit her. Relief. Shock. Joy so intense it looked like pain. He's alive, she breathed. Then she looked at me, not like a soldier, not like a partner in strategy, like the man who stood with her when no one else did. She stepped forward and hugged me again, but this time I didn't freeze. I held her, fully. And for a second, I allowed myself to believe there might be something waiting for me on the other side of this. She left the next morning for Germany, to see him, to hold him, to close the wound that had bled for 3 years. I told myself I was happy. I was. But when her car disappeared down the mountain road, something twisted in my chest. Because now that her brother was safe, she didn't need me anymore. And the silence she left behind was louder than any battlefield I've ever stood in. I told myself I wouldn't wait for her. That I'd go back to engines and oil changes and school pickups. But every time a car slowed outside my house, my chest tightened. Idiot. Daniel was home. Her mission was complete. She had a company to run, a city that fit her. Ridgewood was never meant to keep someone like Victoria Sinclair. 3 days later, the cafe door opened. I didn't look up at first. Then Lily gasped, "She's back." My head snapped up. There she was. No designer armor this time, no sharp edges, just tired eyes and something softer beneath them. I stood slowly. "How is he?" I asked. "Alive," she said. Her voice trembled, skin and bones, but alive. Relief flooded me all over again. "He wanted me to tell you something," she added. I braced. "He said he never blamed you." Not for a second. My jaw tightened. For 3 years, I've carried that weight like it was welded to my spine. And just like that, it loosened. Not gone, but lighter. "Thank you," I managed. She stepped closer, closer than necessary. "I didn't just come back to deliver a message," she said quietly. No CEO tone, no strategy, just honesty. "I came back because I don't want to leave." The words landed heavy. "You have a life in Denver," I reminded her. "And you have one here," she said. "I'm not asking you to change it." I studied her, this woman who chased answers across continents, who refused to give up, who stood in my garage and saw a man, not a ghost. "You don't belong in a town this small," I said softly. She smiled faintly. "Maybe I don't belong in the world I came from anymore." Lily tugged at her coat. "Are you staying?" Tori looked at me before answering. Not the child, me. And I realized something in that moment. Hope isn't weakness. It's choosing to risk your heart again. I exhaled slowly. "Welcome back to Ridgewood, Tori." Her eyes filled, but she didn't cry. Instead, she reached for my hand. And this time, I didn't let go. For the first time since the war, tomorrow didn't feel like something to survive. It felt like something to build. With her.